Hey guys, this video is very late, and I don't know if you can tell, but I finally have my actual video camera, so now you can see my very tired morning face in high definition. So I'm really sorry about, this video being late because I was actually really excited about this topic. So, a while ago, it might have even been a year ago. Anyway, a long time ago, a long time ago, we did a week for just mental illness in general. And my video, which I'll link in the description, and isn't a really one of my best videos, but I do talk about kind of how it intersects with being non-binary, specifically in the context of either looking for a therapist or coming out to a therapist. So if you're interested in that, you can watch the video. Just know that it's not that good. But this time we're doing all of us are doing specifically the intersection between mental illness and our identity, and I wanted to talk about I guess the more concrete, obvious intersection, which is literally how our non-binary identities affect our mental illness or vice versa. So so let's start with dysphoria, gender dysphoria. There are a couple different kinds of gender dysphoria, and ways it can manifest. For some people, it's very sort of, all-encompassing, not very specific. They just feel really shitty and depressed whenever, something triggers their dysphoria, or just all the time. I've read that often in young children, that is the visible way that gender dysphoria shows up, is that they just become depressed, irritable, have temper tantrums, stuff like that. So, minus the temper tantrums, obviously same thing can happen to adults and older children. So sometimes it's more specific. A lot of times it can be more of a feeling of low self-worth, which can sort of compound on the same symptom, which is caused by depression, along with other mental illnesses. I know for me, I have agoraphobia, which basically means that, when it's bad, and I have anxiety about leaving the house or leaving my room. So generally, my agoraphobia it has nothing to do with my gender dysphoria, but it sort of multiplies the impact when my dysphoria is so bad that I don't want to leave my house and I don't want to be seen in public. Sometimes I don't even want whoever I'm living with to see me. It's already hard enough when I'm missing school, or maybe if you're missing work or something, not going out with friends because of your agoraphobia, but then when it's because of dysphoria too, it adds the impact that that mental illness gives into ruining your life. Another anxiety disorder, which has similar symptoms to dysphoria and can feed off each other, is social anxiety. So social anxiety disorder specifically is anxiety around other people, how they perceive you, being afraid to talk to people, talk in public, be seen, etc. And I guess that sort of, for the same reasons, dysphoria can make you not want to be seen by people, not want to talk, not want to socialize, and it's another reason on top of any other reasons you might have social anxiety for, to just make things worse. And it's just like another thing on top of the impact that mental illness can have on your life. So that's dysphoria, but that's not the only reason, the only way that our identity can impact mental illness. So unfortunately, there are a lot of shitty people out there who will harass you, who will harass people, who will harass us because we are trans or non-binary. And the way this can manifest is in many ways and in many levels of intensity. There are microaggressions, which can be like, I guess just like sexist comments about like things about girls or things about boys or stuff, and it can, get worse and worse. It can be like misgendering, dead naming, insensitive comments, just misgendering, and just it can get worse and worse to the point where people get beat, abused, murdered because of their gender identity. And all of, everyone experiences a range of these things, but how wide the range is just depends on your personal experience and exactly who you've had the misfortune to interact with in your life. So all of these things can add up and contribute to various anxiety, panic disorders, and also with the more extreme and repeated types of harmful transphobia can contribute to post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, or complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a different thing, and I'm going to make a video. Eventually, I'm going to make a video on my personal channel explaining what exactly that is and what's the difference between regular PTSD. So, if you're interested, yeah, take note of that. But, yeah, so not directly a cause, not a necessary direct result of being non-binary, but something that happens because of the way that other people react to us. That sort of mistreatment can cause or just exacerbate mental illnesses and just general emotional problems in multiple ways. I forgot another one I want to talk about, back to the dysphoria thing, which it's often like a combination of dysphoria and also just, sort of transphobic things that people say, or just insensitive things that people say about other people's bodies can really affect your overall body image. Basically, negative feelings, shame, hate towards our bodies can result in an eating disorder or make an eating disorder worse, or shape the symptoms or the type of eating disorder that someone has. Now, a common misconception I feel like I should make sure people don't have is that eating disorders are about thinking that you're fat. For a lot of people, that is part of an eating disorder, and it's not about vanity or, just regular bad self-esteem, because a lot of times in our society, people, it's not just about being fat, because people look down on and mistreat people who are fat or who have other problems, can you see the quote, problems with their body, and it becomes indicative in people's minds of other personality traits. And for some people, eating disorders have nothing to do with how much they weigh. It's a very complicated topic, and there are a variety of reasons that all overlap into each other. But sometimes some of those reasons can be dysphoria, gender dysphoria about our bodies. So dysphoria can make you really hate and dissociate from your own body. And for some people, they may specifically see losing weight as a way to get a more feminine or masculine body, or just a body that doesn't have so much of the sex characteristics that triggers their dysphoria. For some people, it's less of a direct thought process, but it sort of contributes in the fact that, if there's less of your body, or if you have control of your body, losing weight and shaping your own body like that, it gives you some sort of, it gives you control, and it can feel really good, even if I can't control how I was born or the overall, sex characteristics of my body, I can change the shape of it, and I can change it drastically. And the only one who has control over that is me. That's the sort of thoughts that can often come with an eating disorder, especially a restrictive eating disorder. But the thing is that it's not worth it, because an eating disorder, along with other addictions, it's like a snowball rolling down a hill, and you lose control of it really fast, and it's not really worth it. So if anyone who's watching this video has felt like that, that maybe, the control over food and over your body can give you some sort of comfort and relief from the agony and the anxiety that gender dysphoria brings you, especially about your body. I know how that feels. I know. And the thing is that in the short term, it may seem worth it, but in the long term, the farther ahead consequences are, the less clearly we can see them. And an eating disorder becomes a monster that, takes over so much of your life. And gender dysphoria is very hard, but there are other ways to deal with it, and they're not going to be as easy. But the thing is, dealing with the dysphoria in those ways, or just refraining from dealing with the dysphoria in ways that feed your eating disorder or your disordered eating, it's harder, but it's gonna be the way it turns out is that it's less painful than the way an eating disorder turns out if it kills you, or if it almost kills you and you have to, claw your way back to a more in control state of mind and state of your emotions. Because with an eating disorder, eventually you have to either recover or you die. For a lot of people, it's in a short span of time. People can, die within a year, a couple years of having an eating disorder if it's severe enough, and if they're unlucky enough. For some people, they may go 20 years having an eating disorder, but it either gets better or it gets worse, and if it keeps getting worse, eventually something will happen. I feel like I've gone on a tangent now, but I just really want to make sure that nothing I say triggers or exacerbates any feelings that people may have about their eating disorder and their dysphoria, or give people ideas. I mean, it's not as common as some people think, but it is possible that, talking about a certain way of a mentally disordered way of thinking, or a way that feeds into an addiction or something like that, can actually make the idea occur to someone who has a mental illness or an addiction, but they never thought of it that way before, but now that they have, it's like a really dangerous light bulb. It's happened to me. Some people are like, oh, you can't think. It's like the violent video game thing. Like, violent video games are making kids more violent, and that's what's wrong with society these days. That's really oversimplified, and a lot of times that's not the case, but it does happen though. So it's kind of like that. Where was I? Eating disorders, dysphoria, transphobia. Often, because of someone's situation, whether it's like a financial situation, family situation, just what sort of what sort of community you're in. I'm adjusting because my hand hurts holding this camera up. What sort of community you're in can feel really hopeless, because if you're young and your parents are not accepting, or if you have no way to get hormones or surgery that you need, if you're, the place that you live or the communities that you are a part of just will not, that they will not accept you. It can feel so hopeless. It's it's not even there's no light at the end of the, dysphoria tunnel, it can seem like. And that can make things a lot worse, especially with depression, and with suicidal thoughts, because it's when people are suicidal, it's not just about how miserable you are in the moment. It's also feeling like there's no end in sight. Because if people feel like there is an end in sight, they feel like, yes, I think that if I survive through this, then there will be relief. There will be happiness. People can go through a lot of shit. But the thing is about, not only about depression, because one of the symptoms of depression is losing hope. So even if there is a hope, of things getting better, it can, oftentimes if you're depressed, you just don't feel the hope. Like, even if you logically know, oh, I just have to wait a couple years till I'm 18, or, things won't be this way forever. So depression can make you incapable of really feeling, the impact of the thoughts, of the knowledge that there is hope. I personally have never felt that way connected to my dysphoria, but I have heard other people talk that have, and I really do understand, because I felt that way about other things. And the thing is that it's really hard to combat that, because with other reasons that people feel hopeless, like they can't get out of the situation that is causing their depression, usually there is a solution, which, although it may be very hard to get, and there might not be a very big chance of getting it, it's at least possible for a person to do. But the thing is about these diseases that take over our societies, like transphobia and transmisogyny and all this hate and danger that people are constantly surrounded with, is that one person cannot change it, even if the most powerful person in the world or in a country cannot change it. So here, okay, I'm gonna try and finish this later. Okay, yesterday I thought that I would be able to just film for a few more minutes to just like finish up where I left off, but because I had more stuff to say, but yesterday did not go like I planned at all, and I did not have the ability or time to finish that I thought I would, and then I was going to finish now, but I honestly forgot what I was going to say. And I covered a lot. Like, I covered dysphoria, dysphoria, how it affects mental illness, transphobia and transphobic abuse, depression, anxiety, eating disorders. Briefly touched on PTSD based on because of transphobia, transphobic violent society, etc., etc. I had more to say, but I really don't remember it right now, and this video is already late. So I will just wrap it up by saying that for a lot of people, it's just like having a mental illness or mental illnesses on top of dealing with dysphoria or transphobia or whatever, comes from being non-binary. It really sucks, and it's a lot to handle at once, which is why we have to help each other. And there are a lot of different avenues to do that. But I guess, like, there's helping, excuse me, helping people who already have mental illnesses, and then preventing the sort of things that cause mental illness or exacerbate mental illness. We have to change our individual lives, and then we have to change society. I have some resources. Like there's this pretty new website which helps trans people find like trans friendly healthcare in their area, and you can look for regular doctors, specific doctors, or therapists. So I'll have there will be a link to that below. There's a website which just generally shows you local LGBT organizations of various types, social, political, that will be there. There's Trans Lifeline, which is, I think it's like a year old now, but it's like a suicide and crisis hotline for trans people, by trans people. And I personally called it, or did I text? Anyway, I contacted them like maybe like a month after they started up, and I think I texted them, and like there was some problem with them like getting back to me on time, but I think that they probably have that like better sorted out, hopefully. But just so you know, and you aren't like horribly surprised if they end up like not responding, or the line being busy or something. I really don't know how it is going to be now, but that was my experience with them, and some other stuff. And if you're struggling with mental illnesses, me too, and most of the other added binary members have their own struggle with mental illness, mental health, and so I guess just you're not alone, and you can reach out to any one of us if you want. What else? And I think I mentioned this before when I was filming yesterday, but I'm actually going to do some videos on my personal channel about certain misunderstood or less well-known mental illnesses that I personally have experience with, including complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is different from regular post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't know, I guess stay tuned to for that on my personal channel if you're interested. Also, I'm going to do one on agoraphobia. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Hopefully this new year is better for you and for me, for everyone, and we can hopefully heal and reach our goals, get past our troubles, yeah, it's really hard to survive and do all the things that we have to do to survive with mental illnesses, but it's definitely possible, and you've made it so far through however many years you've lived in your life, so hopefully there are a lot more years ahead of you. Okay, see you guys, and sorry for being really late.